The town of Graston had always lived with fear in its veins. Fear of disease, fear of hunger, fear of the devil lurking in every shadow. And above all, fear of women who dared to wield knowledge they should not possess. In such a place, whispers could destroy faster than fire. Elena knew this. She was only 24, but the years had hardened her. Her mother had died of fever when she was 16, her father had been a drunk who disappeared into the woods one winter and never came back. Alone, Elena learned to survive with the few gifts her mother had left her: jars of dried herbs, scraps of parchment covered in recipes, and a sharp memory for old remedies. By day, Elena was like any other poor woman of Graston. She sold bread, scrubbed laundry, fetched water from the town well. But when the sun dipped behind the hills and the streets emptied, her true trade began. In the flickering light of a single tallow candle, her small room transformed into a secret apothecary. Tiny bottles lined her shelves, glass phials filled with rosewater, powders of dried roots, charms bound in twine with wax seals. To the desperate, these were treasures. A young farmhand would trade a week's wages for a charm that promised the girl he loved would glance his way. A lonely widow might come with trembling hands, begging for a potion to soften her husband's anger. Elena did not believe her wares truly worked. At least, not in the way her buyers imagined. Herbs could calm nerves, scents could stir the heart, and words whispered with confidence could embolden even the weakest soul. That was enough. Hope was her currency, and she sold it in secret. But secrets never lasted long in Graston. It began with rumors. A merchant's wife had claimed her husband's sudden affection must have come from a potion. A bitter rival accused her of witches' tricks. The priest thundered from the pulpit, "Beware the woman who sells false promises in the night. She bargains not with men, but with demons." Still, Elena thought she was careful. She chose her customers wisely. Or so she believed. One night, as frost glazed the edges of the town's rooftops, a man came to her door. He wore a hood, his face shadowed, but his voice was thick with nervousness. "I need a potion," he whispered. "For love. For a woman beyond my reach." Elena studied him. His clothes were plain, his boots muddy, but something in his stance felt wrong, too upright, too rehearsed. She hesitated, then poured rose petals into a vial, adding a drop of honey, a sprinkle of cinnamon. She handed it to him with quiet instructions: "Give her this in wine. Do not speak of me." The man pressed coins into her palm. Too many coins. She should have seen it then. The next night, the town guards came. They burst into her room with torches, knocking jars to the floor, glass shattering like screams. The hooded man stood behind them, smirking. "There," he shouted. "You see. The witches' trade." Hands seized Elena's arms, wrenching them behind her back. Villagers spilled into the narrow street, drawn by the commotion. Mothers clutched their children, men muttered prayers, women whispered, "It's her, the one with the charms." "Please," Elena cried. "I am no witch. These are herbs, nothing more." But the guards dragged her through the cobblestones to the magistrate's hall, her feet stumbling as voices hissed around her like snakes. The trial was brief. Trials in Graston always were. The magistrate, a stern man with a jaw like stone, glared down from his chair. "Elena of Graston," he declared, "you are accused of selling charms and potions, spreading lies, corrupting the hearts of our people, and defying the laws of God and town." "I only gave herbs," Elena pleaded. "They came to me with sorrow. I gave them hope." "Hope that is false," the priest spat. "Hope that leads souls astray." The verdict came swiftly: "At dawn, she shall be tied to the post and given 8 lashes." Let her shame serve as warning to all who dabble in forbidden trades. That night, Elena sat in the cold cell beneath the hall. Her wrists ached from the ropes, her face pressed to the damp stone wall. She tried to pray but no words came. Instead, she thought of her mother's voice. Be careful, child. In this world, knowledge is as dangerous as fire. The hours bled slowly. Then the bells tolled. Dawn had come. The square was already crowded when the guards dragged Elena outside. The post stood tall in the center, its wood stained from punishments past. Torches smoked in the chill morning air. Bring her forward, the magistrate commanded. The crowd parted as Elena stumbled ahead. She lifted her chin, though fear gnawed at her stomach. She would not give them the sight of her begging. Children craned their necks. Old women muttered prayers. Men grinned cruelly. And yet, here and there, she caught softer eyes, customers who had once relied on her charms. Their silence was the deepest cut. Her hands were bound to the post. The ropes bit into her skin. She felt the rough wood against her cheek, smelled the smoke and sweat of the crowd. The man stepped forward, a tall man with arms thick as logs. In his hand he carried the whip, leather straps oiled and ready. The magistrate raised his voice. For the crime of deceit and corruption, Elena of Graston shall suffer 8 lashes, witnessed by God and by this town. A hush fell. The whip cracked. The first lash seared across her back, fire blooming in her skin. She gasped, biting down on her scream. The second came, sharper, tearing cloth and flesh. The crowd murmured, some jeered, some winced. By the fourth, her knees buckled. The world blurred with tears. Somewhere, a child whimpered, "Mama, why are they hurting her?" A mother shushed the child quickly. The 5th lash ripped a cry from her throat, raw and broken. The 6th left her trembling, blood soaking her dress. By the 7th, she hung limply against the ropes. Every breath a struggle. And then the 8th, final, merciless, struck, echoing across the silent square. "It is done," the magistrate proclaimed. The ropes were loosed. Elena crumpled to her knees, her back a canvas of blood and pain. The crowd stirred. Some looked away in shame, others in satisfaction. One woman whispered, "She deserved it." Another muttered, "But did she?" Elena staggered to her feet, her body screaming with every step. Yet she did not collapse. She faced them, her eyes fierce even through the tears. "You wanted hope," she rasped. "And you bought it. Do not call me witch for giving what you begged." A murmur swept the crowd. Guards moved to push her along, but she walked on her own, head high despite the agony. That night, alone in her shattered room, Elena lay upon the floor. The world had tried to strip her of dignity, but dignity was something a whip could never take.